Chapter 9 marks halfway. And so in some way, it's exciting. We've gotten halfway through the Gita. And sometimes I remember when I used to be studying and you'd have one of those big books and then you keep looking, how much more, how much more. This is small, of course, but if you have the whole Gita, then it's like, and then you divide it and you measure, like, at least there's a feeling of, okay, I got halfway. And usually in a jewelry, the halfway is like where the pendant is. Although the pendant of the Bhagavad Gita is chapter 15. And it's always described as the gem in the necklace of the Gita is chapter 15. But chapter 9 definitely has a charm. And there's a little bit in the beginning that's extremely profound, like so incredibly profound. And so it really encapsulates the Upanishads. And then a lot of chapter 9 is so much bhakti, because we know that from chapter 7 to 12 is the bhakti yoga section of the Gita. I mean, there's bhakti all throughout, but this is where you find the bulk of the sentiments of bhakti. And even between chapter 7 and 12, it's really 9. 12 is called bhakti yoga, but it's too perfect. That bhakta is not someone we are, like, has no enemies, is a friend to all, has no jealousy. This is Santa Mahatma, this is not us. But chapter 9 is very much something we can relate to. And it's saying that even if you're trying, that's very good. And any step in the right direction is effort that is recognized. And this is all very reassuring to us. I remember the youth, they come to the ashram often, which is really nice because, Gurudev, and this year is 50 years of our youth wing of Chinmaya Mission. And Gurudev had started this youth wing because usually spirituality gets associated with, aunties. In the West, it's aunties and uncles, but in Asia, it's definitely aunties. And you don't want to hang. I remember my first Bhagavad Gita class in Melbourne, and I walked in, and the first thing everybody was like, so young. And I thought, oh gosh. I was 19 at that point in time. And so I would literally arrive when she was saying Om Sahana Bhavatu, and by the time Purnamada was over, I'd leave, because otherwise it is. And so Gurudev started this youth wing so that they can have a very dynamic approach to spirituality. And so I've really enjoyed myself being in the youth wing before I joined the course, and then afterwards, of course, continuing to nurture the youth wing. And I remember this one girl who had grown up with me. So she had known me, she had known Swamiji before me when Swamiji was posted in Hong Kong. And I had really seen her grow up, and she was going through this bad phase. And we all go through, right? And she felt like she had made a few mistakes, and now will she recover from those mistakes? And she was, she kept coming to me, and and she was like, but why can't you just reassure me? Why do you have to give me philosophy all the time? Why can't you just tell me everything's going to be okay? The more she said that, the more I'm like, well, you have choice. Make intelligent choices, and then things will be okay. And she'd get so angry. Like, all she wanted was, like a mom putting their hand on the head saying, it's okay. And then later on, when I was reading chapter 9, I thought, I should have just given her chapter 9, because chapter 9 is really that. It's really that feeling of, it's okay. It's that reassurance that we seek so much. And I know some of you all have been attending my weekly classes, and we just finished chapter 9 last year. Right? And we're on chapter 11 right now in the weekly classes. So for some of you, this is going to be very recent recap, revision. But it's always different to do it in a yajna format, because in a weekly class, I tend to just take my time, and I myself am sitting there reflecting on the verses. But here we have to finish in these next 5 days. And so I will be very focused. And so we're going to get started. I also know that all of y'all have been learning to chant. And since y'all are such accomplished chanters, I will get y'all to chant the verses before we start them. Yes, so let's get started. Shri Paramatmane Namaha Atha Navamodhyayaha Shri Bhagavanuvacha Idam tu te guhyatamam Pravaksha Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam Yajñatve Moksha Se Shubhat. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha. It's always, even now, after so many years of reading the Gita, to know that it's Bhagavan himself who is talking to us when we hear the words Shri Bhagavanu Vacha. And there's so many times in our lives where we think, where is he? And he's right here. It's not him that went away. It's us who don't open the Gita. And he's whispering into our ears all the time. And whatever it is that we need, sometimes more than what we need. Because we prepare, right? Even like with our children. We know they're too young, but we know they're going to grow up, and invariably they're going to need this knowledge. And so we'll say to them, when you get older, you will realize you need to, and we do our whole spiel. And Krishna does a bit of that as well. He pulls us to be able to think deeper and to think in a more subtle way, which I will explain when we get to verse number 4. Idam tu guhyatamam. Even in Balvihar, when I'm teaching the children, and then when they're being particularly rowdy, all I have to do is say, and then Krishna said. Suddenly, the room is so quiet. What you think is what you are. And then they all suddenly come so close to me. What? Or I'm sure you've noticed it, even in your house. They're all talking and suddenly the voice dips. And then you want to know, what are they saying? When we know that it's something they don't want us to know, we want to know it more. And so here, guhyatamam, secret. What I'm about to disclose to you is a secret. And when it's a secret, we feel like we're now in the privileged club. I'm one of the ones who know the secret. And this is how initiation actually started. That it's a secret, and now you've been initiated, so you know it. But this is no ordinary secret. It's or is that the next verse? We can do the next verse also, actually. It's a royal secret, which is being said in the next verse. So we'll do it together. Rajavedya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Dharmagamam Dharmyam Susuksham Kartum Avyayam. It's a royal secret because this knowledge is, well, the best. Royal is supposed to be the highest. It's the most powerful. It's the most splendid. And that this knowledge, that's we being given here, is of the highest. And why is it of the highest? Pavitram. It purifies us. And right now the Kumbh Mela is going on. All of you nodding because we've seen it on Instagram. And, before we never heard of people going to the Kumbh Mela, but now so many are going to the Kumbh Mela. Why? Because they know it's there. Otherwise, only rishis and mahatmas and yogis knew when the Kumbh Mela was, and there was no advertising of the Kumbh Mela. And actually, that's how Kumbh Mela became so well known. The last very big Kumbh Mela, which I think was about 12 years ago, American companies were in awe that a function can be planned with no advertising, no preset date, no reminders going out, and everybody just turns up. And not just few, thousands turn up. Because it's all based on the calculation of the planets and the positions. And so rishis and ashrams, and everybody knows when the next one's going to be. Only when the stars are in this configuration, we have the Kumbh Mela. But even then, you have to know where the Kumbh Mela is going to be, and that's also already decided. If the configuration is like this, the Mela is here. If the configuration's like that, the Mela is there. And there's a few different spots. And actually, it's phenomenal that this event can be organized for thousands of people with zero publicity. Little bit logistics, now, especially now, a little bit more logistics, but in the early days, even less logistics. And what's this excitement to go to Kumbh Mela? Take Instagram picture. We want to be able to say, been there, done that. That's what we want, right? That's not the point of Kumbh Mela. The point of Kumbh Mela is the Ganga Snan. But Ganga Snan we can have at any time. Then why during Kumbh Mela only? Because during the Mela, all Santa Mahatma are there. And the real Ganga Snan is dipping in the knowledge that the Santa imbibe. Because this knowledge, Pavitram, Puja Gurudev explained it so beautiful, doesn't wash away your sins. It washes away the sinner in you. If I wash away your sins, and we've all washed, no? We've washed our cars, we've washed the dishes, we've washed our clothes. Like this again, it gets dirty. And so, there's this group in Hong Kong which go for all these yatras. And so, they'll tell me they've been here, they've been here, they've been here. They've got one long list of all the yatras they go on. And I'll be like, wow, that's amazing. And then they made the mistake of telling me, yeah, we go and then the whole night we play poker. Then you go and you have your darshan. Then when we come back, then we go to whichever restaurant and then they eat and they drink. And you can imagine what they eat and what they drink. And then I look at them like this, horrified. And then they'll say, don't say anything. They won't let me say what I want to say because they can see it on the tip of my mouth that how can that be a yatra? How can that be darshan? Darshan is not seeing an image. Darshan is seeing that divinity that sparkles in our own heart. Only then we full, even only then are we fulfilled. And to be able to see divinity, mind has to be quiet. Maybe not completely pure, but definitely in that moment it has to be quiet. And all of us already know we have momentum of thought. If you go to a lunch and everybody is talking about something, 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 on your way back home, you are thinking that. Even you look at your phone and you hear something or you see something, even at night before you sleep, those images only come. If whatever it is I'm doing and whatever it is I am thinking is going to keep coming. And there's like that reboot button in our brain that just keeps feeding us all the images that we've already recently seen. And so pavitram is that tendency to do things that make us feel horrible. We just stop doing them. Something as simple as, I'll get so angry and then I'll scream and then I'll shout and then everybody's restless. I'm restless. The people I shout at are restless. The people who aren't even involved watching me are restless. And then later I feel bad. Why I did that? And then you see the small face on that person that you shouted at and you think, why I did that? And I promptly do it again the next day. Pavitram is, now something's happened and I take a deep breath. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Because there's still so much anger that if I talk now, I'm going to scream. And then pavitram is, something happened and I take a deep breath and I'll say, okay, let's fix it. Pavitram is, the tendency is cleansed. Rajaguhya, Rajavidya. This knowledge is royal because it purifies us. And here, Krishna is telling Arjuna, and I'm going to tell it to you. Like, this knowledge is so beautiful. It's so precious. It's so beneficial. And I'm going to tell it to you, so listen. Okay. Like, this is important. Listen. This is precious. Listen. And if Krishna had to say this to Arjuna 5,000 years ago, when their minds were still strong, now our minds, even when we want to stay focused, we're looking at the phone. And if Krishna had to say, listen, to grab Arjuna's attention all that time, it's almost like, how when children hold your face like this, so that when they talk to you, you look only at them. Imagine Krishna is doing that to you. Listen. This is important. Listen. Because moksha se shubha. This will be able to give you that freedom from sorrow that we all yearn for. And not just jnanam, he is promising to give vijnanam, which is giving us the experience of it. We can't give someone an experience, right? It would be great if we could pack it like a birthday present here. But sometimes when we listening to a person tell us something, they do such a good job of narrating it that we feel we are there with them. And so here too, Krishna is saying, listen, and I will show. And so you will experience if you are tuned. Because sometimes somebody can be saying something so beautiful, but my mind is, what? But if I'm actually paying attention and I'm feeling what they're feeling and I'm thinking what they're thinking and I'm seeing what they're seeing, I have the full experience of it with them. Right? I can totally empathize. And so, Vijnanam. If we tune in as we listen to this chapter, we can experience. Mm-hmm. And there's been many times, I'm sure for you as well, when sitting in satsang, listening to the words, things become crystal clear. Like there's a glimpse that we can catch and hold. And it's like the environment has been made and so conducive, and all I have to do is just be there, and it happens. It's almost like it's gifted to us. Gurudev used to say it's almost like the Guru opens the mouth and puts the laddu in. All you have to do is close, swallow. If we tune in. So here in the next verse, when our mind is purified and when we are listening with Shraddha, then we are able to have the experience. But if the mind gets filled with doubts, then that becomes a huge obstacle. And so the next verse says, Ashraddhana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapya Mam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartani. Faith is such an incredibly powerful thing. I'm sure you would have seen these shows where they hypnotize people and then they tell them to do something, and it's phenomenal what they can do. Sometimes the person will be like really tiny and skinny, and then they tell them that, you are a wrestler and a weightlifter and you can weight this and you can lift this and it will be something like 100 kilos, and they just tong. And then you take them out of the hypnosis and you say, please lift this, and they can't. That's phenomenal, right? I'm sure you've seen these shows. No, you haven't seen them? Some of you have seen them. And usually now they do everything as entertainment. They've even gotten people to speak different languages under hypnosis, which again is mind-blowing. That under hypnosis you can convince me I know French and I speak it. Like how? When the mind believes something, we make it real. Like sometimes people will say to me, this person sneezed, so I'm going to get sick now, I know. Always happens like that. I only end up on the flight with the person who's sneezing and coughing, and then I always get sick. And I'll think, I've never once gone. Why does this person always end up on the flight with the person who's coughing and sneezing? Because they're so convinced. And then do they get sick? Definitely. And I've seen the opposite also, I've seen during COVID in our Pavai ashram, where they literally started falling one by one, because during COVID it was so highly contagious. And that there was only one person left who didn't get it. And then I happened to be speaking to her because when they all got sick, of course, we all jumped in to try and help out. And I said, are you okay? And she's like, I'm fine. I'm not getting COVID. And I'm like, good for you. She really was. She was surrounded with everybody in the ashram having it. She was the one running and getting them food and getting them water and helping them do their laundry. And so it's not like she was hiding in her room in isolation. She was with them, looking after them. Nothing happened. We decide, and we can make it through. And then we hear the story and we'll say, we also deciding. I'm not getting sick. Does it work? Does it? It will depend on your Shraddha. It will work if you have Shraddha. What's the opposite to Shraddha? Doubt. So, I heard this story. She can live in the ashram with people surrounded with being sick, and she didn't get sick. I'm going to do it too. And if I have the slightest doubt come into my mind, can I? Gone. Your Shraddha's gone. Doubt weakens the mind. That mind which is phenomenally strong, that can change your life, that can change the life of others, that can change the whole world. That's how strong our minds are. Tiny, tiny bit of doubt comes in. All that strength diffused. Not completely gone, diffused. Here, Krishna is reminding Arjuna, listen. And listen with Shraddha. Because earlier in the verse number 1, Anasuya, because you are one that is able to see good. When we look for bad, you'll find it. Even in the best, like I know one person, you take them to the best restaurant, they'll find something to complain about. Take them to the most amazing holiday, they'll find. Give them an outfit that is stunning, it's comfortable, it's soft, it's eco-friendly. They'll find something. If we look for something to be wrong, we'll find it. But when we look for good, we'll 100% find that as well. And if we train our mind to look for good, we'll keep finding it. And if we train our mind to look for good, there's less likelihood that doubt creeps in. When does doubt creep in? When we train our mind to look for all the flaws and all the failures. Not that doubt won't ever creep in, doubt can creep in, no problem. In fact, in the Gita, you'll see that Arjuna himself asks questions when he has a doubt. There's no problem if I haven't understood something and I'm not clear, and please explain. But I know you can explain. And so when we're listening to Bhagavan, to have that faith that I'm going to benefit from this. This is being given to me to bless me. When I have that faith that I am going to benefit from this, I'll make sure I do. Yeah. If I'm thinking 1 hour and I have to sit there and listen, I don't know. Yeah. The mind's not strong and receptive. And so this verse can be interpreted in many ways, but for today I'm just going to focus on this. If we allow doubt to come into our mind, then we get stuck into, there's that saying which you would have heard, if you keep doing what you've been doing, you'll keep getting what you've been getting. And what have we been doing? So much stuff. And what have we been getting? Sorrow, disappointment, dissatisfaction, insecurities, anxiety. That's what we get, right? insulted, unappreciated. We've been getting, and we will keep getting. Why will we keep getting? Because we're not changing. So then what we're doing is the same, so the outcome will stay the same. And so here, what is Krishna saying? Listen with faith so that we can adjust, so that we can experience something different to what we've already been experiencing. And now comes these 3 verses of chapter 9, which is phenomenal. In fact, these 5 days, I could have taken just these 3 verses of chapter 9. These 3 verses are so profound and insightful and contemplative and meditative. So we'll see them one by one, starting with verse number 4. Please start. Maya tadamitam sarvam. I, sarvam, am everywhere. The word here is pervade, but to use simple English, Krishna is saying, I am everywhere. That's only 1/4 of the verse, huh? There's 3 more quarters of the verse. But just this, I am everywhere. How many of us have heard this before? Krishna is everywhere? Of course you have. When would you have heard this? When you were a kid? From your parents? From your grandparents? God is everywhere. Mm-hmm. Then how to see Him? And that's what's the next bit of this verse. Jagat avyakta murtinam. How to see me? Wow, a clue is being given. In this Jagat, where will you find me? I am everywhere. So where can you find me? Everywhere. In the world. Yes, somebody replied inside. Yes. But not only inside. Because we're going to see. This verse is saying, everything's inside me. Yeah. So, I am everywhere. And Krishna just said, listen to me with faith. I am everywhere. And it's interesting because, yes, when we go to the mandir and we close our eyes, we feel. But there's many times we're running around here, there, everywhere. Sometimes we're in the doctor's office and we close our eyes. We can feel. Or going into a job interview and everything's very daunting and we close our eyes and we can feel. Or sometimes traveling in the airport to reach somewhere and something's happened and I need my strength and so I close my eyes. We can feel. We can feel connected to Bhagwan. Whether it's at the airport, whether it was at the doctor's office, whether it was going for a job. And so we know this to be true. I am everywhere because I've experienced that I don't have to be sitting in front of a murti to be able to feel Bhagwan's presence. And Jagat avyakta murtinam. Avyakta means without form. How will you find me? Without form. We've actually trained ourselves to look for forms. More so even in today's world. I'll give you an example. When you don't know what to reply on a WhatsApp message, what do? Emoji, hands folded. Instead of typing out, we use symbol, which is a form. We've made ourselves so used to thinking in terms of form. Now, some of the younger kids, they do the forms also. When you're in the class, when you say something to them, they do. We never made that expression before. Now that it's an emoji, you see all these kids doing. Oh, this, what's this? What's this? I don't even know what that one is. Even, what are the emojis supposed to represent? What we feeling. Does what we feeling have a form? No. But we've trained ourselves now, give it a form. And before we did it with emojis, we did it with Bhagwan. We see a form and then we're reminded to think of divinity. Now that's a good thing. It's fine, right? I see an image of Ganeshji and immediately I think of divinity. But restricting it to only think of divinity when the image is there is the problem. The image being there is not the problem. That I need the image to think of divinity is the problem. Because here Bhagwan is saying, how will you find me? Not in a form. Even in those moments when I said, when we're in the hospital and we close our eyes and we have that sincerest prayer and connection to the divine, is there a form? Sometimes, depending on your mind and how you've trained it. But mainly, no. Mainly, it's just very, very heartfelt. Recognizing Bhagwan, and in the morning, for those of you who were there in the morning, as a principle rather than a definite distinct form. Example, Bhagwan is beauty. Now when I say beauty, beauty can be, but if I have only one form, then it will be flower. But no, beauty is not just flower. Beauty is our faces. Beauty is sunset. Beauty is sculpture. Beauty is even architecture of buildings. Beauty is cleanliness. Beauty is in variety. And beauty now you see sometimes these, what's it called? Street photography. Like, so you're driving down the streets of Bombay and it's all just a mess, really. And then they take a photo and it's so beautiful because it's bringing out such realness of human character. Yeah. No, you've not seen it? I'm sure. Walking down in Bombay airport, you've seen, right? All those sculptures of the slums and people in the taxis with their foot out and it's art and it's beautiful. It can be a flower, it can be that, it can be a poem. And so it's not even a thing, it's a poem, it's words that are spoken, but the way the words are spoken is beauty. And so what is Bhagwan? Beauty. Not the object that we are saying is beauty. Full. Just the very principle of beauty. And so what's he saying here? How will you find me? Not in a form. Because one form cannot be everywhere, and he just said, I am everywhere. Can beauty be everywhere? So if I'm looking for Bhagwan in a thing, I'm only going to find it one place. If I'm looking for Bhagwan in beauty, now I can find Bhagwan everywhere. And so much of Bhagwan everywhere. Yeah. I can see your face as beautiful. I can see your personality as beautiful. I can see what you're saying is beautiful. Now so much I can recognize of Bhagwan. Even just in you or in anyone. Yeah. I am everywhere. Avyakta Murti Mam Jagat. In this creation, Jagat is this world, this particular world that we are living in. But Jagat is also the world of constant change, and so it can be the entire universe. And the universe is incredibly beautiful. or we see it only as stars twinkling in the sky, and that in itself is so beautiful. But we have this telescope in our Vibhuti ashram. It's a really long story why we have such an incredible telescope in our Vibhuti ashram. But if you visit it, please do see this telescope. And this person who helps you see through it is so passionate about the planets. And once we were looking, and he showed Saturn. And it's this tiny. Not Saturn, through the telescope, when we see Saturn, because it's so far away. It was this tiny. But you can see so clearly the rings through the telescope. And something this tiny was so breathtakingly awe-inspiring. Because how can I see this? Like, how am I even looking at a planet that's so incredibly far away? And how is it that it shines? Like, literally, when we see the stars shining in the sky, we just assume they stars shining in the sky, but they actually planets, and they shine. And from where they are, Earth too is shining. And we can see in this entire world that keeps changing divinity in so many varied ways, in brilliance, in capacities, in talents, in beauty, in strength, in virtues. And those don't have a form, but they surround us. They pervade all of creation. And it reinforces what Krishna said, I am everywhere. In Saturn, in the telescope, in me, in the eye that is seeing, in the passionate person telling me to see, in the brilliance of how this equipment has been made. Suddenly, Bhagwan is actually everywhere. In so many layers. Not just everywhere, but in so many intricate ways. In so many different facets from all different perspectives. I am everywhere. Without form. I'm slightly simplifying it because we have a restriction of time. Matstani sarva bhutani. All beings, bhutani, are in me. So, how are we going to know Bhagwan? I am everywhere, and all beings are in me. What does that mean to you and me? I am in Bhagwan. Usually, what do we think? Bhagwan's in me. There's big me and small little Bhagwan here in my heart. Yeah. Right? Like one of those power batteries, making everything work. Bhagwan's just like this tiny little battery, making sure. And actually in Katha Upanishad, the description is given that way as well. That he's the size of the thumb. But it's a poetic description. But artists took that description very seriously. Here, what's he saying? All beings are in me. So now this is a reset. You know, when your phone has settings and then the setting isn't right, and then you have to go to the setting and change it. We have to go to settings and change. Bhagwan is in me to I am in Bhagwan. What does that mean? How does that change our life? This is not a rhetorical question. Please answer. How will it change our life to know I am in Bhagwan? I feel more connected, protected. Yes, I am in Bhagwan means I'm protected. Yeah. How else does that change my life? I get confident, very nice, yes. Acceptance of? Because everything's inside Him. So everything around me is also inside Him, so I have to accept it. Very nice. Fearless. If I am inside Him, what do I have to worry about? Very good. Very nice. Yes?
Looking twice, meeting somebody.
Nice. Because all beings are in Him. So if I hate this person, this is part of Him. Very nice. It's good to do this exercise, isn't it? This is going to be your homework for all of tomorrow. I am in Him. There's no separation. You won't feel any separation because I'm inside of Him. Very nice. It also reinforces the first stanza, which said, I am everywhere. If I'm inside Him, He is definitely everywhere. The analogy is like a fish swimming in water. And then if we increase this analogy, a fish swimming in water asking us if water exists. Because that's what we do. Does God exist? Where's God? And the fish swimming in water asking, where's water? What's water? I don't believe in water. How can, it doesn't matter if the fish believes in water or not. It's still in water. Same with us, doesn't matter if we believe it or not. We still in Him. But if I know I'm in Him, it changes how I feel. It changes how I think. And it will definitely change how I behave. And Matstani sarva bhutani. Everything, all of creation is in Him. And the example given here in Pujya Gurudev's commentary is like waves in the ocean. Every wave is in the ocean. And so all beings are in me is just like every wave is in the ocean. Every ripple, every froth, every bubble is in the ocean. There's the ocean and the ocean and the ocean, and all happenings are happening in the ocean. And in the same way, if we take ocean to be Bhagwan, and then us, we can be waves, we can be froths, we can be bubbles, we choose which one you want to be. Point is, you are in the ocean. There's also another point to that. How long does the wave last? And where did the wave come from? And where did the wave go back to? And so did it matter how long the wave lasted? Because ocean was there creating, ocean was there receiving. And then it's so nice, right? I'm being carried by this ocean. And I take the shape of a bubble, I take the shape of a wave, I take the shape of froth, it doesn't make a difference, I'm still the ocean. Because everything's in Him. I am in Him. Right now I think I am this. And so right now this, which I think I am, is in Him. But actually when the wave goes back into the ocean, I'm no longer a wave, and then I'm not this. I'm just ocean. Matstani sarva bhutani. It's so beautiful to just meditate on this. I am in Him. And so I came from Him. I go back to Him. And Gurudev used to play with Hari Om. And he changed it to Hari Home. Where's home? Where we came from. And so we don't have to die to go back home. If I already see He is everywhere, in all these beautiful principles that surround me, I am already back home. Hari, home. Matstani sarva bhutani na chaham teshva vavastitaham. But I am not in them. So, all beings are in me, but I am not in them. This is a bit more technical in the sense that if you say the wave is in the ocean and the ocean's not in the wave, makes sense because the ocean is so vast and the wave is limited. So all of the ocean is not in the wave, but the wave being smaller is in the ocean. Yeah. But the wave wouldn't exist without the ocean. And so I am not in them is to remind us Bhagwan is far bigger. Also, it's a good, remember we had to go to settings and we thought Bhagwan is in us and Bhagwan saying, no, I'm not. And then, but I'm in Him. And why is He saying He's not in us? Because we made such a mess in our minds. We filled it with so much insecurities and inhibitions and conditionings. I didn't even say anger last, greed. I didn't even say that. So much inhibitions we have in today's world. So much insecurities. Yeah. Anxieties. And then so many desires. Then we don't even remember. I'm sure you've experienced this. I want, and then something happens, and then I was like, what did I want? Like, could I have really wanted it that much if I even forgot I wanted it? Like sometimes people will be talking to me casually and they'll mention, see this movie, and I'll always think, yeah, when I have time, I'll want to watch. I want to relax. And then when it comes time, I'll think, what was that movie? No idea what it was. Okay, never mind. Usually I'll just see the preview and then not see the movie because I am not in them. Of course Bhagwan's in us because the wave cannot exist without the ocean and the wave is nothing but the ocean. But to know that as the cause of all of creation, the effect is dependent on the cause and not the other way around. Bhagwan doesn't need me to exist. And I can't exist without Bhagwan, but Bhagwan does just fine existing without me. And in this vastness of creation, it's incredible. This verse is so incredibly humbling because everything is in Bhagwan, absolutely everything. Every creature, and then you think of all the planets, all the suns, all the solar systems. And in all of that, what am I? In the Upanishads, an analogy is given of a king with this cloak walking. And when the cloak flutters, there'll be this little, what's it, like a pleat, like a fold, as the king's walking, and then the wind, and so it flutters. And in the Upanishad, the example given is that this entire universe fits into that little fold of the bottom of the king's cloak. And Bhagwan, of course, is the king. And so tiny is the entire universe compared to Bhagwan. And in that entire universe, I am not even a speck. And we can consider ourselves so important. But the thing is, we are important, but not for the reasons we think we are. We are only important because we can realize this. You and I can see Matstani Sarva Bhutani. You and I can see Maya Tadamidam Sarvam. In the depth of our hearts, in the stillness of our minds, we can see the entirety of infinite. That's why we're important. Not because we own some property or we have this command or we can sing or we can. That's not what makes us important. Those things are the waves that's going to go back into the ocean. Not even remembered 10 years after we die. And then all the chota-mota anxieties that we have and all the, irritations that we have, who's going to remember? Even now, who else except you cares? That this one listened to you, this one didn't listen to you, this one said something about you, this one called you fat, this one called you. Who else except you cares? And that too for how long? Till the next person says the next thing. Here we are with this ability to see all of infinity. Here we are with this ability to see divinity surrounding us. That's why we important. Because we can reflect that divinity. We can smile and people see that divine joy in us. We can love and people see that warmth of divinity in our love. We can be reflections of His beauty and His wisdom and His strength and His purity. Then we're important. Because He's important. Then we beautiful because He's beautiful. Maya tadamitam sarvam. I am everywhere. Jagata vyaktamurtima. Know me, recognize me without form. And of course we recognize the form as well. Matstani sarva bhutani. All beings are in me. And you have homework. That's the line, that's the bit you have homework. To see that you are in Him and see how that changes your thinking. Na chaham teshva yavastitaha. But I do not dwell in them. And then now, Krishna likes to do this. If you think you've understood, He doesn't like that. Because when we think we've understood, we stop thinking. And when we think we've understood, we stop growing. And Bhagwan is infinite. and infinite can never be known by finite. And so, to make sure that we don't get stuck and we keep going, Bhagavan challenges us. And so in this verse he says, Nacha matstani bhutani pashya me yogamaishwaram bhuta brinna cha bhutasta mama ma bhuta bhavanaha. Nacha matstani bhutani. Beings do not exist in me. What did he just say last verse? All beings are in me. Here he's saying, Nacha matstani bhutani. They do not exist in me. And then what does he do? Pashya. Pashya me yoga aishwaram. See my glory. Bhuta brinna cha bhutastaha. Bhuta is the cause and effect relationship, referring to that. Bhagavan is mamato bhuta bhavanaha, the cause, and all beings are the effect. The Upanishads is where we get clarity on this verse. In Vedanta, if we were to create, and we've got a beginner's course in Vedanta, then the first thing we get introduced to in Vedanta is the concept of Dvaita and Advaita. I'll do this very quickly because most of you probably already know it. Dvaita means two. Advaita means, actually the translation is not two, but it means one. Dvaita is what we experience. You, me, two. But Dvaita is also you, me, and everybody else. So there's 100 people, different Dvaita. Even though there's 100 people, it's still Dvaita because I see me and everyone else. The Upanishads tell us there is only one. Which means there's no you. There's only me. So why are you here? There's no you. You're nicely nodding, but I'm saying you don't exist. Believe it? There's no you. If it's you, then you looking at me, and there's no me. There's only you. Makes perfect sense? I love how that makes perfect sense to y'all. It does not make perfect sense. Because what do we experience? Me and you. And we're very different. Actually, we're not, but we think we are. We are convinced we're very different. Yeah. I will like my chai with sugar and milk, and you will like your chai in another way. No sugar, because you're dieting. Different, right? Yeah. So there's two of us, and we different is our experience. But what is Upanishad saying? There's only one. Only one. There's no two. So then how am I experiencing this two? Then the next point of Vedanta will be this wonderful example, and you cannot study Vedanta without knowing this example. snake, and rope. What exists? Snake exists? Actually, it depends on how you tell the story. Usually the story is, though, that not Gurudev, this has been Vedantic teachers from the beginning of time. Even Adi Shankaracharya has given this example in Atma Bodh and Viveka Chudamani. There is a rope lying on the ground. I, in my haste, is running around in the dark. I see the rope. I assume it's a snake. The wind blows, the rope moves, and I scream, "Ah, snake!" And then I run. Sometimes Gurudev dramatizes the story saying that you think the snake bit you. And so now your leg is paralyzed and throbbing with the venom of the snake. And you'll actually feel the throbbing and the venom of the snake. And what's there? A rope. Then how did you see snake? Illusion of light, unattentiveness of my mind, mistake. We do it all the time. Made a mistake. Sometimes you'll be reading also and we're in such a hurry and then you read the word and you think, we read it wrong. All the time, we don't see what's there. We see something else. Even when we're reading things, we don't see what's there. We see something else. Mistake. I didn't see what's there. I saw something else. Technical words for this is non-apprehension of the truth and misapprehension by projecting a superimposition on the substratum. If you didn't understand that, it's fine. What did you understand? I made a mistake. I didn't see what was there and I saw something else. Yeah. This is called Maya. I didn't see what's there and I assumed it to be something else. Upanishads tell us there is only one. Why are we seeing two? We've made a mistake. What is the mistake we made? We think we are body. Because this body is different to your body. But I'm not body, and you not body. And the truth and the essence of who you are is the very same as the truth and the essence of who I am. And so, this whole world we see as people and creatures and buildings and social media and wars and fashion and entertainment and politics and economics, and we see so much. All of it is snake. What's actually there? Rope. Only Bhagwan. Only that divinity is there. Another example that is given is that there's a screen, your computer screen, and then you are watching one of those Korean dramas that take forever. And then they take you to ancient Korea where they dressed all with those weird hats. And you see mountains and you see rivers and you see, and then it all burns. And then the person's reincarnated into modern world where you see high rises and you see tunnels and you see train and you see traffic and you see aeroplanes. And then the movie finally after 25 hours ends. And you see blank screen. Where's the plains and the tunnels and the traffic and the mountains and the rivers and the ancient Korea and the weird hats? Where they? Where they? They were just flickers of light on a screen that came, went, came, went, came, went. They never stayed, they weren't real. It was only ever the screen that was there. Now, what's this got to do with me? How's this going to help me? I'll show you. In your mind, there is divinity, bliss, love, and then thoughts come. Thoughts of, I have to do this, I have to go here, I have to tell this one this, I have to send that what's message. I have to buy this, I have to look good, I have to lose weight, I have to go to the gym, I have to finish my 10,000 steps, I have to drink 8 glasses of water. So many thoughts come. Then so many thoughts come about this person, they are not to be trusted, I shouldn't have talked to them in the first place, they're very dodgy, I have to keep an eye out for them. All those thoughts come. Then somebody else you will see and you'll think about and you'll think, I'm so much better than them. Why can't they see that I'm better than them? Whatever thoughts we are having in our head about this one and that one, this thing and that thing. So many thoughts come, so many thoughts come, so many thoughts. They come, they go, they come, they go, they come, they go. And then you put your head on the pillow and you fall asleep and there's nothing. Bliss, quiet, peace. And then the next day you wake up and the thoughts come and the thoughts go and the thoughts come and the thoughts go and the thoughts come and the thoughts go. What was there before? Nothing. What will be there again? Nothing. Those thoughts aren't real. I thought them, but that doesn't make them real. Doesn't matter how many times I think it. Doesn't make it real. Bhagwan is saying, Na chamatsani bhutani pashya yogam aishwaram. See this glory and this beauty. See this aishwarya. See this glory that I can appear as so many things. That where there is only one thing, I can appear as so many things. See this glory where there's absolutely nothing, we create so much fuss. Look at my glory, that I am everywhere and people cannot find me. Pashya Yoga Aishwaryam. This is why it's Raja Guhya. It's a secret. Why is it a secret? Actually, he's everywhere. But we can't find him. We can't see him. And so here he is confirming it's all just Leela. I am the cause. The effect comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes. Don't get lost in the effect. Bhuta Brahma Bhutastaha. I alone am. I cause, and everything is dependent on me. Everything comes from me, everything returns to me. I alone am. In the last verse, we're not ready. We're not ready to know I am Bhagwan. And so Bhagwan is saying, all beings are in me. To get my mind used to the idea, I think I am in Bhagwan. And when I'm ready, remember I told you, even as adults, we'll tell our kids, when you grow up, you will understand. This verse is Bhagwan telling us, when you grow up, this is what you will understand. There's only me. There's no you. You don't exist. You are illusion. Right now, if I think I am illusion, no. We so attached to being who we are. But why? Why are we so attached to being who we are when we can be infinite? Why we want to be attached to who we are when we can be unconditionally loving? Why do we want to be attached to our delusion when we can be profoundly wise? It's just stubbornness. You know, sometimes even with the kid, they'll say no. Then you're talking and they can actually see you right. You can see it in their face that they've recognized it. And then you say, so now will you do it? No. Just stubbornness, right? Like I have to save face now. Because I've said it, I have to keep saying it. Saving face for who? There's only Bhagwan. And so here, when we're ready, Bhagwan wants us to see there's only Him. You and I don't exist. And actually, if we think about it, that's such a relief. I don't have to prove myself. I don't have to be anything, become anything. I can just surrender. I can let myself dissolve and He shines. Actually, it's a relief. It's saving me. Because otherwise this mind, it thinks up so many weird thoughts and torments me. So many emotions, so many opinions. When I don't have to be all those opinions, when I don't have to do all of that things, just leave. You know, when we do the Jaykar, and we say, Om Hara Hara Nama Parvati Pataye, and we put our hands up and we say, Hara Hara Mahadev. Or even when the Sarvatra Nama, when then Balaji temple, what is it? And they say, Govinda, Govinda, and they put their hands up. And in Vrindavan also, they'll say, Radhe, Radhe, and they put their hands up. I'm sure I've told you this before. What does this hands up mean? Surrender. But you don't recognize it because I don't look cute. I'll explain. When a 2-year-old is now tired, what does the 2-year-old do to the mom or the dad? Right? Have you seen them do this? I don't want anymore to stand on my own 2 feet. You lift me. When we're ready, this is what we'll do. I don't need to be me anymore. Here, take. I'm yours. And then He alone is. We pause here for today. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Asato Ma Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Krishna.